Hey, it's Kathy. Welcome to another episode of A Journey into Cybersecurity. And today's episode is sponsored by TNT Creative Group. And I wanted to just quickly intro as to what this is all about. So the Journey into Cybersecurity is a podcast to help younger people or people who want to kind of make a change in their careers to kind of understand what cybersecurity is all about, kind of demystifying that whole space and what kind of people work in that environment, and to really kind of perhaps give them the good reasons to join cybersecurity. And the Triangle Net is the organization that I started in hopes to create more opportunity, more equal opportunity for people to find learning, working, and volunteering opportunities. So that's what this is all about. And I am super excited because I found us a hacker. And today I have as our guest Jon Sternstein, and I'm calling him a natural-born hacker. Hey, Jon.
Thank you. You made me laugh at that. It's great, though. Glad to be here. Thank you.
It is my honor to introduce a real hacker, and you're not wearing your hoodie today. What's going on?
I know. I'm not wearing the hoodie. I'm not in the basement either. So.
And you don't look so evil either.
That's true.
Nice guy.
I guess hackers have to mold into society, so you can't make it too obvious.
So you're hacking the hacking.
That's right.
Very good. So Jon, let's do a quick intro.
Sure.
When you're talking to a 16-year-old, how would you introduce yourself? What would you call yourself? What is your title? But how would you say what you do? And talk about your company.
Sure. So I guess I would start off saying I'm a hacker. You know, my kids asked me the other day, what do I do? Because for them, all I do is disappear and they sit in front of the computer all day. So they said, what do I do? And I told them that I'm a hacker, and they just said, oh, okay. But I don't have any idea what that.
Well.
Yeah. But what I would tell other people. A 16-year-old is I would tell them that I do everything I can to make the world and make companies more secure. So that's basically what our company does. At Stern Security, we help organizations increase their security posture to ensure to help reduce the risk of them getting hacked, basically.
And you started this company all by yourself, right?
Technically, yes. I started all by myself 6 years ago, but I mean, it would not be possible at all without mentors, friends, and family. So while on paper it does look like I did it by myself, I had a whole team.
Well, it takes one person to take an initiative, and then other people jump on board. But with Jon, right?
That's right.
That's awesome. So any day of the week, what do you do? What kind of activities do you do?
Work-wise?
Yes.
Work-wise, things are very busy. So any given day, I probably work with several different companies. Everything from, making sure our team is on track and having all the right things to do. So checking in with our team, to working with other companies, whether it's telling them about any type of threats that could affect their organizations, to doing penetration testing and actually actively attacking their organizations, and then showing them creative ways to protecting themselves, to doing some customer service with some of our software platforms too. So with our company, we do a little bit of everything. You could be touching, one aspect of security one day, and could get a call for company that was hacked another day, and you have to figure out, on the reactive side, how to help out with that. So mostly what we do is on the proactive side and helping helping protect up front. But yeah, be prepared at any time for any of those situations.
Yes. So I have two teenagers, and when I ask my youngest son, how is school? He's like, boring. Boring is his very word.
Yeah.
And I can understand how school, you have that monotony, that structure, that
Yeah.
when you're sitting in front of a computer and you get all this information thrown at you. So my question to you, Jon, is do you ever get bored?
Do I get bored? That is a good question. I would say not so much anymore. I really do not like being bored. I mean, anybody that's worked with me will tell you the same thing. I think that probably one of the reasons why I started the company was just so I would not be bored. Because I mean, if I'm doing something where I'm not learning, I'm not busy actively contributing, I get bored really easily. So
Yeah.
with the company, though, I mean, we just have so much work to do and so many different things going on. I'm constantly learning something new every single day, and so I do not get bored. I haven't been bored in a very long time, I would say.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. It sounds like, not one day is the same, and you're always on your toes and you're always learning. So that's really
right.
cool.
But I understand what your kid feels. I've definitely been bored and many times, whether it's in school or different types of jobs and things. So I completely understand that.
Yes. So let's rewind in time a little bit and talk about Jon the kid.
Sure.
And so kids go through, life is a book, right? And so there are many chapters, but I think middle school, high school, college, they are their own chapter. And we go through so much change at that age. The world around us is constantly evolving. Our personalities are changing. We're growing. Lots of challenges thrown at young kids. But what were you like middle, high, or college in school?
In school, I would say I was at least middle school, high school. I was a really good student, pretty shy, probably some of that still have today. I was, in the sports, cross country, track. I did all of that. I started getting into computers in, I would say, high school, maybe actually middle school. Probably started getting into computers and slightly started to get into security during that time too.
Wow. That was early.
That was pretty early. I would say I mean, it's nothing like it is today, but beginning chat rooms and things. That's when I first started getting into security. I started watching other people getting hacked, and I did not want to be hacked. So that's probably why I started that. But before that, I said I wanted to be an archaeologist, so I completely changed careers. So, but once I started getting my hands on computers, I knew that's something I wanted to do. So I know a lot of people end up changing careers. I mean, even when they're adults, but I think pretty early on, I knew that I wanted to do computers and do security work.
It's interesting you wanted to be an archaeologist. Where did that come from?
I mean, I was always into studying different cultures, and I just figured I'd make some big discovery with digging up some dinosaur bones, or I remember we traveled a lot when we were growing up, and I just remember we did a trip to Israel once, and we did some small excavation stuff. I always thought that was just so interesting, contributing to society, making some big discoveries. So I always thought that was pretty neat.
That is really cool. But now you're digging in cyber.
Now I'm digging in cyber. It's a whole nother. I'm glad I went in the cybersecurity field. So
It's a bottomless pit.
There's a bottomless pit. That's right. You're always going to be digging at security.
So did your teachers or who got you into that space then? Did anybody recommend you or guide you to find that passion of yours?
I would say my parents definitely helped out a lot. I remember when we got our first computer, I still remember when we first got our first couple computers, and both times my parents said, "Okay, go set it up." I had no idea how to set it up, but they expected me to do that. And I remember them, taking me to the public library and getting on the internet and just getting involved that way. My dad, before he retired, he is a professor at the college, and he'd take me to the college and bring me to the labs there. And I remember taking some summer programs where we were doing computer work. So I mean, they definitely opened up the doors for that, and I kind of took it and ran with it.
Yeah, that's really awesome that your parents really gave you those vision boards. They introduce you to different environments to give you an idea of what's out there.
Yeah.
Four walls of your house.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
And libraries still exist. They still give
They still exist. That's right.
There's still a portal to the world. Let's talk a little bit about college. I heard your podcast on Black Cyber, and you were talking about how you started wireless hacking in college. That was a pretty good story.
Yeah. So, I mean, I started getting more into security, graduating high school, going into college. I mean, when I was in college, there really wasn't a cybersecurity program. I studied computer science. I mean, this is, almost 20 years ago now. So the landscape has changed drastically. So, I mean, there was just computer science. So that's what I was studying there. And I mean, going back to the board conversation, I was definitely getting a little bored in school. I wasn't as interested in some of the foundational computer science work, although I could see now today how it really helped me. Back then, I was thinking, oh, I need to do something more than than this. So I started studying, wireless hacking and how to break into wireless networks during that time. And I thought, since we didn't have a security program or concentration at the school, I could talk to the chair of the department and convince them to give me college credit for for these studies, and it ended up working. I mean, they gave me college credit to basically do hacking, and that was great. So that was my first my first run at learning something, and actually having the college backing me was great. Having smart professors to help contribute to that was a really good experience.
Yeah, and it's very interesting, and this is why exactly I call you a natural born hacker, because you were in an environment, you were given a particular path, and you hacked your way out of that path by directing yourself into a place where you wanted to go, and they went along with it, which was the good part, that your teachers did see that potential in you and in that course for you. What about student jobs? What kind of student jobs did you get yourself into?
Sure. When I was a student, my first job was the help desk, and so that's what I was doing, taking all the calls for anybody calling in for help with their computers at the school. I went into desktop support after that, so running around to the college dorms and then different departments in the school, helping fix their computers. and that was a lot of fun too. Learned a lot that way, and then also moved into web development. There's a program where students were building websites for the different departments, and so I got involved with that. And then I think those were the only jobs I had. I had an internship in college, but that was separate from the school. I was working in a large law firm and doing their computer work. Started doing a little bit of security work for them, making sure their computers are up to date, but also setting up VPN connections between their different offices. So it was a large law firm which had different offices in different areas.
I'm sure those student jobs and all these opportunities and an internship didn't just fall on your lap. They're like, "Hey, Jon, come here, come do the help desk." Like, how did you get yourself into it?
The student jobs, I do not exactly remember how. I know that it was pretty common for the students in the computer science department to have some of those jobs. So I know that I needed to do some type of work to help pay for school and get some type of income. I didn't have any kind of money during college, so I mean, in high school, I worked in a grocery store and as a cashier, and I knew I didn't want to do that in college. I wanted to do something that I was using my skill set for. So I imagine I just contacted the student IT department and got a job that way. The law firm, yeah, that definitely didn't fall on my lap. I was incredibly lucky to have an uncle that is a fantastic attorney, and his law firm, he gave me an internship at the law firm for 2 summers in a row. So that was an amazing opportunity that I was incredibly lucky and grateful to have that opportunity.
That's really good. And it's good to leverage the people around you, your network, your family, whatever works, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I still leverage that today. Still, have,
Yes,
have a have a
absolutely.
have a legal challenge or a legal conversation. I'll call up my uncle and
Yeah.
how does this work? What does this contract verbiage mean?
Yes.
So,
Well, everybody has to be somebody's advocate, I feel. So
mm,
it's great that you had them.
yeah.
Wrapping up the educational chapter, what would be an important lesson that you learned during those formative years that, was not necessarily in a textbook?
So during those years, I mean, I I definitely learned a lot of the basics in computer science, but I think that more importantly, I learned a lot about myself. During that time, I realized that I would get pretty bored if I wasn't doing something that I absolutely loved. So I knew that in the future, when I got out of college, I knew that I wanted to do some type of computer work, and at that point, I really learned that I wanted to do security work, and I knew that I'd have to be constantly challenged, constantly learning. I would say that when I first started college, I didn't do as well. I was used to being pretty much a straight A student, and then I got bored and I realized I wasn't doing as well. And so I did realize that if I wasn't doing something interesting, then I would not be I would not be the best version of myself. And so that's something that I've realized, in later life as well.
That's a valuable lesson to be learned. And unfortunately, sometimes you have to learn those the hard way.
Yes, thankfully I learned that earlier on, and it's still something you have to work at. But I did realize that a while ago.
Yeah. So as a kid, who were your role models? Who were you up to, or who inspired you?
Definitely my parents. They still are role models for myself. I mean, they always taught me what was important in life. They taught me about hard work. I mean, my parents always worked really hard, and I always looked up to them for that. But I mean, while working hard, they always cared for the family, did everything that I mean, I never felt like they were just into their work and they weren't into taking care of us. I could always tell that we were front and center there. I mean, they introduced us to a lot of different uh, cultures and experiences, and we traveled a lot. Uh, all around the world, I would say, visiting family and visiting different areas that they wanted to introduce us to, and and just introducing us to technology at all. I mean, that was really neat that early. So even today they always remind me what's important, and taking care of family. And so they were, without a doubt, they're my role models.
Yeah, and it sounds like they were your cheerleaders too all along the way. Anybody else who was cheering you on?
I would say definitely family, and friends too. I mean, we always encourage each other, but the family was pretty much front and center growing up. So I mean, still are. So my
Yeah.
parents are still cheering me on over here.
And it sounds like this book, family became a very important value to you now that you are a family man.
That's right. Now I have a wife and 2 kids, so that is definitely important to me. They are front and center, and so that's been also something that I want to make sure I don't lose track of when I get busy with the business, to talk to a lot of others and mentors, and have told me that got to keep don't lose track of what's important in the family. It's really easy to get taken away with your work, and you lose track of
Yes.
things that are right in front of you. So
I'm sure you could work 24/7 and still not be done, right?
could easily do that, and then won't get to see these little kids grow up, and won't get to have these experiences. So yeah, that
Exactly.
is what's important.
Yes. And speaking of mentorship, who were your mentors when you were young? And do you have new mentors now?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the parents when I was younger. I mean, they still are today. I'd say once I got into my first job outside of college, I started speaking with. Um, there was a head of the security department at the organization I was working at. I started talking to him about how to get into security, because I really wanted to get into security at the time, and he was giving me tips along the way. So I would say that he's probably one of my first mentors. Also, there's a really good family friend that we have that successful with his own business and his own business throughout the years, and he from the very beginning was also a really big mentor for me. I mean, I still call him today for advice on the business, and he's really helped out a lot. It's a really good soundboard and giving me advice along the way. Also, when I first was thinking about when I was about to start the company, I started speaking with another individual that, not in security, but he had his own pretty large tech company, and I started talking with him. I mean, there's no reason he needed to speak to me, but he asked me to meet with him, and gave me advice, and we still keep in touch today. I mean, some of the things that he told me were incredibly invaluable for the business. And so yeah, I mean, over the years I've had numerous mentors. I mean, even some bosses that I've had previously, and I still keep in touch with them and talk to them, get advice from them. So I mean, definitely I've had, and I still have, numerous mentors that I reach out to on a
Yeah.
constant basis for for advice.
But it's great because it must be so fulfilling for them to see you grow and run your business and making a difference in the world. I'm sure
Yeah.
that it must be very rewarding for anyone who's mentored you to see the fruit of the little that they did. To them, it probably wasn't much of an effort, but it may have had a huge impact on you, right?
Huge impact. Yeah, I really don't know how I'd do any of this without them. So it's just been
Mhm.
incredibly valuable.
Yeah. And that's another reason why I call you a natural born hacker, because you took that initiative. You kind of asked for help or
Yeah,
for guidance. Sometimes I tell that to my high school son, who he's also a shy person, and I tell him, you have to ask for help. It's okay to feel that insecurity, but you have to overcome it and really reach out. People are
yeah,
so willing to help. You just
that's
don't know
true.
it. You just
That
don't
is
know
true.
it. And they're not going to judge you for not
Yeah,
knowing it all when you're born.
yeah, no, absolutely. People like to help. So yeah,
Yes. And you became a mentor too. I know you supported the Science Institute as a mentor. Is that correct? How did that work?
yeah. So I took the SANS 560 class, the penetration testing class that they have, and did well on the exam. And they asked if I wanted to, be a mentor and help teach the class to others in our local area. And so I thought that would be a neat way to share information, share knowledge, and give back. And so I started doing that, and to teach the class, and I've really enjoyed that. Um, Maybe part of it was also because my father was a teacher too, and I could just see how fulfilling that was and how much of an impact he's had on individuals. And so I thought that'd be neat to try that out as well. So I did that for a couple of years.
That's fantastic. Um, was there any fears, uncertainties, doubts that kind of were keeping you from reaching your full potential, and did you overcome that? And were there any other external obstacles in your way to pursuing your dreams in cybersecurity?
I mean, there's definitely tons of obstacles. I mean, run into that every day. I mean, even I'd say early on, I also knew I wanted to start a business. I'd say initially I probably started, 3 or 4 other businesses that weren't related to cybersecurity, and I'd say I did not. I mean, while they were fun and challenging, did not actually succeed in those businesses. So I realized that, hey, why don't I try the business with something that I'm good at too? So uh, so that's one of the reasons why I started the security company. One of the many reasons. But I mean, there's tons of obstacles. I mean, I think part of it is that I don't give up very easily though, so I was able to overcome those. I think also it's probably myself being a little naive and thinking I could do anything, and so not even seeing all the challenges that were there and just jumping into it. That was probably um, a strength and a weakness at the same time. But yeah, I mean, still, I mean, every day there is definitely a new challenge. But I mean, at this point, I actually enjoy that and enjoy trying to figure out creative ways to get around all of these challenges. It keeps me on my toes.
Yes. And even though the other ventures didn't go where you thought they would go, they still kind of were a stepping stone to you starting your own business, right? So you learned a lesson, you moved on, you dusted yourself
Yeah.
off.
Oh yeah, that those were really good experiences. I learned what worked, what didn't,
Right.
and so yeah, I needed those experiences to do well with this one.
Yes. And in addition to you becoming a son's mentor, I remember crossing paths with you a few years ago, many years ago, actually, here in the Raleigh Triangle, and you were working with NCHICA,
Yeah,
NCHICA,
yeah,
um, and I believe this was a volunteer capacity, right?
correct. Yeah, I volunteered. I was first a member of the organization when I was a security officer. I wanted to find a way to network with other security officers, and we just had huge challenges in healthcare security, and I knew that if I was to succeed in getting our organization's culture to change and bring security into that, I needed the help of other organizations, other hospitals and their security departments. And so, somebody
Yeah.
recommended that I join in Chica, and I did that as a member, but then eventually ended up co-chairing their privacy and security work group.
Yes, that's the one that I was attending, and that
Yeah,
was really educational for me, to really understand the bigger picture and the challenges that the healthcare environment, that ecosystem really faced every day.
yeah,
Definitely cybersecurity and now privacy, definitely keeping them on their toes. So I
that-
really appreciate that. Plus, you and we work together
that's
for
right.
Tweens Technology. Uh, so tell me how you, what brought you to Tweens and Technology?
Sure. I wanted to have a bigger impact on the world. I mean that's part of the reason why I started the security company, because I knew that um, I could only do so much if I was just working for my own, organization, helping my secure the own company I was working for at the time. But starting the security company, I could help out a lot of different organizations, and
Yeah.
so I thought that was really interesting. But then on the other side, um, helping bring up the next generation, I thought that I've always thought that was incredibly important. And I remember sitting in an ISSA meeting and seeing Tweens in Technology, and seeing they showed a video for I think one of the summer camps they had there, and I said, "Wow, this organization's actually doing it. They're actually bringing up the next generation and educating them and bringing more opportunities." And I I just at that point I just wanted to be a part of it, or just contribute in any kind of way. And so that's when I reached out to Derrick, and I just said, "Hey, how can I help?" So yeah, Tweens and Technology is an amazing organization. I'm just happy to play a tiny part in this awesome
Yeah.
organization.
Yeah. Well, I really believe strongly in the purpose of, providing that first step in tech to
Yeah,
young people very early in their lives before they've decided not to pursue a STEM education. I think it's so important to just try something that society, culture, your background, may not direct you into doing something like that, but at
yeah,
the end of the day, maybe you like it, and it's
absolutely.
right.
You're right. I mean, if I wasn't introduced to technology at an early age, like I said, I might have been an archaeologist. I don't know. So,
Dirt.
yeah, I would be digging a dirt right now. That's right. So, I mean, absolutely. I mean, any way to get individuals introduced to technology early, that's absolutely essential. So,
Yes. And now that you're an employer and you're in the position of hiring people and
Yeah.
young people, what kind of qualities do you look for?
When I want to hire somebody, I usually look for somebody that has uh, that sees things differently than I do.
Yeah.
I've told our whole team that if we have a whole team of Johns, we're not going anywhere. So we need everybody to think a little bit differently, and so I encourage everybody to speak up and say what they're thinking, see if they have better ideas of what we're doing. I think that's incredibly important to
Yes.
have a diversity in your team and diverse mindsets. And so, yeah, I mean, there's definitely a need to have people that can uh, do the work when not around or I'm busy, but also need them to think things from different angles. I also really look for people that are passionate about what they do and passionate about security, and not even necessarily needing to have all the skills to be a amazing security professional. At least have that mindset and the mindset and focus. So I always figure if you have that, then you can go anywhere. It just kind of reminds me back when I was trying to get my first security job. I mean, I don't know how many jobs I applied for and did not get. I applied. I was applying constantly to jobs and I was not getting anything until I got one opportunity. I got to the interview and I knew everything that you could do in a book basically because I was studying all the time, but I didn't have organizational experience at the time. I had no experience working on corporate firewalls or intrusion detection systems, but the manager at the time said that he hired me because I was the most passionate about security, most passionate about the job, and I was honest about what I knew and what I didn't know. And I guess I always took that to heart. I mean, they
Yes.
took a chance on me for that, and that worked out. And so I always try to do the same for others. I mean, he's one of my mentors now too. So
That's fantastic. And that's the biggest problem I see in our cybersecurity workplace is that everybody wants the perfect hacker or pen tester or security consultant.
yeah,
But they forget that everybody has to go through those motions of educating themselves and then getting that hands-on experience. But
yeah,
everybody expects you to have that experience
exactly.
somehow.
I know.
But they don't necessarily give that opportunity to start
Sure.
without experience. So that is a tremendous gift as an employer to give someone their first shot
Yeah.
and seeing that potential. I think that's it takes a risk. Perhaps it's a risk somehow.
Yeah.
It is such an important investment to be making.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I would say any job that I've ever had has pushed me beyond my initial limits. I'd say that any job, if you look at the job description that I ended up getting eventually, I did not have all of the skill sets I needed. I'd always tell them I'd work harder than anybody else on that job, but I mean, yeah, that first security job, I didn't have any previous, work on some of these major security appliances. There'd be no way I'd have access to something like that.
Right.
After that, and when I got my next job, I was a, security. I was in management as a security officer. I mean, I didn't have management experience at that time, but they took a chance on me, just knowing that I would work at it. So I mean, you kind of have to give somebody the opportunity to push beyond their limits a little bit. So if they have the right mindset, I think that they'll do great work. I'd much rather gamble on somebody that has the passion and not necessarily all of the skills at the time than somebody that has the skills and no passion at their job.
Oh, I love that. That is so well said. And so when that person hired you, when you didn't have all that experience, did they then also invest in your education? How did they help you get that experience and expertise?
Yeah, so I mean that first job, I mean, I was brought in at pretty much the right time in the organization. They didn't have a security infrastructure, so they're putting all that in place. They did send me to a lot of training, which was great. And also they hired a cybersecurity consulting firm to help implement a lot of these major security components, and I just got to sit next to them all day and just learn from them. So I mean, they had some really great experts that I just got to absorb a little bit here and there for.
Yeah.
So I thought that was the perfect opportunity. I mean, my boss at the time would told me that, hey, it looks like it's really difficult now, but years from now, you're gonna look back and say, wow, this was a great opportunity. I mean, he is absolutely right. So.
Yes, and it is overwhelming of a space, right? Cybersecurity is not just one little thing. It's a lot of material to ingest over time. It's not something that you learn overnight. It just takes the time, experience, the hands-on, that exposure to kind of build on. And one day you just maybe know it all. Who knows?
It seems like there's always more. I mean, it's funny when I look back at those times, I always looked at those security consultants as something, someone whose skill set was so high up there. I just couldn't even picture how long it would take to get to that point. But I guess I didn't realize at the time how much I was really absorbing from them. I mean, they were also constantly learning too, so they keep advancing, but they were pulling me along with them. And so that's it's hard to see sometimes when you're in the thick of it, I guess. But you step back and you think, wow, I really learned a lot during that time.
Yes, exactly. And so the key is just not to get overwhelmed and to say, this is too much, I'm going to quit. Yeah. The key is keep learning, don't quit.
Exactly.
And sooner or later, you go back and like, wow, I did that.
Exactly. I mean, I still to this day, I'm learning new things every day. I don't think I'll ever be to the point where I could say, everything there is to know about cybersecurity.
I can retire.
Yeah. Seriously, I have it all figured out now. No, I mean, it's constantly you have to learn constantly, and like you mentioned earlier, cybersecurity, the field is just so enormous. You have to. I mean, there's just so much to absorb.
So looking ahead, the future for Jon and Stern Security, what are your aspirations for yourself as an individual or for your organization?
Sure. For the organization, I want us to have the biggest impact possible on the world and on cybersecurity. I think that we have a lot of opportunity here. We have some really exciting projects that we're working on, and some services that really could have a big impact on the industry and also to companies as a whole. I'd say every year we increase our footprint and help out with more organizations, and we have some pretty amazing software that we've developed that can really help the masses. So I'm really excited about that, and really excited about how our team's working on that. I mean, me personally, I mean, I definitely want to have a huge cybersecurity impact, but also I think personally, I just want to have a good impact on the world. We leave the world a in a better place, and just do my little part to help out others. I mean, I think that's really what it's all about. So if I could, uh, give back a little bit more, then I mean, I think that's really what I'm looking for, whether it's in cybersecurity or not.
Yes, yes, which you are, knowing from my experience with all the volunteering that you do. So I see that. Um,
Yeah.
what do you wish for your children and future generations?
So I mean, I want my children to have the best opportunities that there are out there. I want them to grow up to be good people. I don't care exactly what they do exactly, as long as they're good people and they're giving back to this world. That's what I'm looking for them. I want them to have really any opportunity that they can do. I don't want them to think that anything that's out there is not attainable. Um, and yeah, just want them to have happy, healthy lives. That's all I can care about.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it sums it so nicely up. Um, tell me about Good World News.
Good world news. So that's it's a website that I started. Started with my wife and my brother years ago. Really at the time, I mean, still today, I guess, I really thought that there wasn't enough good news in the world. It's just
Still
tough.
isn't?
No, it still isn't. So it was just tough, watching the news and not feeling good afterwards. So we thought, hey, there has to be some good news out there, and so we'd try. At least initially, we try to look at the news and we see major news stories that are going on, and then we try to find um, maybe good things that were happening on that same kind of uh, in that same area, and then we'd write an article about that and say, okay, this is how we wouldn't mention how the rest of the media was portraying it, but we just show good stories that were in that. So um,
Yeah.
if there's a story about how two countries were fighting each other, we'd try to find a story about situations where you'd have two countries that were loving each other. We'd say, oh, these are two couples from these two cultures that have come together and now they're married, and how they're celebrating their cultures instead of arguing about their cultures. So really wanted a way to put good news out there. And I mean, that is while I haven't contributed as much recently to the goodworldnews.org website, definitely something that, I mean, I personally really enjoyed creating those. It made me feel better about the world, but also made me feel like we're actually doing good things out there as well, putting these news articles out there. I mean, we would have people writing to us and just thanking us for putting some of those news articles out there. And I didn't even think anybody was, watching or reading any of those stories. I thought it was almost like a personal blog. So it's something I've really enjoyed. I mean, we even had some newscasts where we're just broadcasting good news. So it's something that I've enjoyed, and one of these days I'll get back to contributing even more to that, or hopefully open it up so anybody can contribute to that.
Yes. And it's funny because you had mentioned it to me. And so I looked it up. Google, it was goodworldnews.org, right? That's
That's
the
right.
website. Okay. And saw you were also on social media. I'm like, oh, let me follow them on Twitter. They're on Twitter. And I was already following you. I didn't know that this
Oh, you really?
and I was already following you.
That's hilarious.
I am desperate for more positivity and good news, because I think we have to focus on the good, and take that initiative to do something
Yeah.
impactful in a positive way, which you did and constantly do. But I really believe that it comes back to you one way or another. So I thought this was really a beautiful story.
Wow,
So keep those coming.
thank you. That's great.
And speaking about, that positive energy, what values influence your decision making? You already talked a little bit about what values are important in the people that you hire, but what other values are important in any decision making process, really?
I mean, you mentioned the positivity and positive thinking. I mean, that's something that I definitely value. I want people that whether on my team or just people I surround myself that that want to contribute to the betterment of society and help out. I think that's really important. I would say, I mean, there's just so many things going on in the world. I think I've grown to really think positively because of realize we're really in a good situation here. I think growing up things were a little bit difficult. I know that I've family in the States and also have family in Liberia. And I mean, when I was growing up, there's a civil war going on over there, and so we had a lot of family that was still over there during the war. And so, I mean, growing up, we'd have people, we'd constantly be trying to get in touch with family, figuring out if they're okay, trying to get them over here to the States. And we'd always have family that once they finally were able to get to safety and get to the States, they'd live with us for a while. And I just realized, I mean, it's hard not to think how lucky you are when you're not in those situations. And, just seeing how much, my parents are really focused on trying to help out the family and trying to help out all those individuals. I mean, I just, I had to see that I had to do something like that moving forward. I mean, there's just little things that can have a huge impact on people, and so I think that's something that's incredibly valuable and something that we have to do in this world.
Yes. Sometimes being born in a particular zip code determines how lucky you are.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, you have the opportunity, and what you're doing here, educating individuals with the podcast, what Tweens Technology is doing with giving people opportunity to get access to technology. I mean, these are things that anybody can do to, to help out others. I mean, you don't need unlimited resources to help out somebody or do good deeds or make somebody smile. So little things that you can do go a long ways.
So well said. So let's share some words of wisdom with youngsters about hacking.
Sure.
So you're a natural born hacker, and you hacked your way through school and college, internships, jobs, moved your way up, and then now you're running your own business. But hacking has a flip side to it, right? So you have good hackers. You're a good hacker, and then you have a bad hacker. The guys who like to take shortcuts, go dark, and think that they can get away with it. So what would you say to young people who are considering the concept of hacking, and why to stay on this side of that coin?
Gotcha. So I mean, I would say you can have a amazing impact on the world doing security work and hacking, and you could have a lot of fun in the process too. I would say that there are safe areas where you can practice hacking. You don't have to do that from the dark side. And I mean, especially nowadays, there's so many free resources out there to help with learning how to hack. I mean, the dark side there, definitely don't want to go down the criminal path over here. Not rewarding at all, not fulfilling, I should say. And harming others is not the way to go. I mean, you could do all the fun parts of hacking and actually get paid to do it for good companies out there. So I would definitely look at that path. I mean, you look at anybody doing something differently that hasn't been done before. You can call that hacking too. Any type of way you're innovative. But from the security side, I mean, there's just so many things you can do out there, from teaching organizations how to protect themselves by breaking into their organizations, and of course having them pay you to do that. You could also do hacking and learn how malware is written and how to protect against that. So you can do hacking and forensics. You can do learn how to hacking and learn how to just change cultures and learn how to change organizational culture and show them how to implement security in their organization. You can do hacking and learn how phishing works, and the human aspect of it works as well. I mean, there's so many different areas of security and so many great resources out there to help you along the ways. I would definitely network with your local security groups, whether it's ISSA, ISC Squared, B-Sides, DC 919, and the countless conferences that are out there as well. Just so much opportunity.
Yes, and definitely for students, they're usually accessible for free. They're always welcoming. It's a great group of people. This is the kind of community where I feel everybody wants to give and help and support one another, because we've all been in that place where we didn't know anything about security. We all start at that place, at that same spot, and somehow we found our way into this world, and we feel like this is a community where we belong. And like you said, it's about making a positive impact. Let's talk a little bit about the consequences to an individual if they were to go down the wrong path, if they got themselves wrapped into the wrong kind of organization. To them individually, what could happen to them? But also, what is the harm, the consequences to the people and the organizations that they are impacting in a negative way? What could happen?
Sure. I mean, for yourself personally, I mean, if you do criminal activity, you break into organizations without permission, you create malware that spreads, I mean, you could get criminal penalties for that. I mean, the criminal penalties for hacking are pretty harsh. So they're, oftentimes they're harsher than other crimes that you would think would be worse. So I definitely avoid that. I mean, once you get a criminal record, nobody's gonna hire you in security anyways. I mean, there's no way somebody can hire you for a cybersecurity job if you have a criminal record for that. That's putting you in a really tough spot. So at that case, you might want to become an archaeologist or something. But also just the impact on the world. I mean, if you look at some of the recent attacks that have gone on, malware that people have created, the ransomware that people have created. I mean, some people might think, hey, we're just creating this ransomware to get money out of it. But if you look, some of this ransomware that have hit hospitals, I mean, hospitals have had to turn away patients. There's some, just within the last few months, there's patient deaths that have been linked to ransomware attacks. So, I mean, it's, while you may think you're sitting in front of a computer and what you're doing does not have an impact, I mean, that has a huge impact on the world, from financial wise to people's lives. Now that everything's connected, so stay on the good side of security in the world.
Yes, and I think some hacks, they're designed to just target a particular type of organization, and not thinking that it could worm its way into a healthcare system across the world.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden your own parents cannot go into the hospital and
Yep.
get surgery or get an MRI or be treated for a heart attack, and you're inflicting yourself some serious pain without even understanding that that could be a consequence.
Absolutely. Everything is connected now.
Yes, yes, definitely. So those are good reasons to pursue cybersecurity on the good side, and good reasons
Right.
not to go down that rabbit hole with that cute little rabbit promising you all the treasures in the world.
That's right. We have a lot more fun on the good side. So
Yeah,
come on over to the good side over here.
stay above ground.
That's right.
Awesome. So let's define failure versus success. We talked a little bit about business ventures that didn't succeed. But
Yeah.
what's your definition of failure? What's your definition of success?
So it's funny. It kind of makes me think. There's this quote from Mark Cuban said years ago. He said something along the lines of, "It doesn't matter how many times you fail. You only need to succeed once, and you're an overnight success." So, I would say that. I mean, yeah, I definitely had some business ventures that did not, I guess, succeed, as you'd say. They're not big companies now, or anything like that. But I mean, I don't think I'd be able to do the Stern Security now without having those experiences. So I mean, defining success, I would say that I'd say probably most people are still trying to figure out what that actually means. I would say that you've achieved the goal. I mean, with Stern Security, I mean, we're obviously still growing, still trying to have the biggest impact. But same time, when we look back, I mean, think about all the companies that we've helped, all the security holes that we have fixed, and just looking back and saying, wow, all these organizations, they could have had major attacks that happen, and we played just a small part in saying, hey, close this hole and you don't have this vulnerability. I mean, I'd say that's a huge success. I mean,
Absolutely.
even before starting the company, I was just thinking, wow, if we could just help out one company, then I'd say we're a success. And now, looking back, we've helped out so many organizations. I mean, I would say that's success. On the failure side, I mean, I think there's always something that you can learn from things that don't work out. So as long as you're learning from it, then you can turn that into a success.
Yes, that's so well said. And I love that. And I love that you look back and you recognize the positive impact that you have made, that you celebrate all those wins and look at it as success, that you look at the whole process as success. And it's
Yeah.
not a title or a number. We haven't talked about dollars or anything, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
A nice car that you drive. We talk about the impact Jon is having with the
Yeah.
people around him. So
Yeah.
I think that is what it's all about, is just to be able
Uh,
to look back and say, you know what, I did that.
yeah. Yeah. We did all that, so did not do it myself at all.
And I love how you are such an inclusive person, where it's not about you, but where you see yourself as part of a community,
Yeah,
an organization, and seeing the value in collaboration and participating
absolutely.
bigger than yourself.
Yep. Nobody does it by themselves here. So
Is there anything else that you would say you're grateful for?
I'm grateful for so many things. I'm grateful for, health, good life. I'm grateful for, even having the opportunity to be on your podcast over here. So grateful for so much. I think that I have a lot more to contribute, so I'll have a lot more things to be proud of as time goes on. But I'm just so grateful for all the opportunities that we have here. Grateful for the area that we have in, just the great security community here too. So as all of you that are listening to this, as you get into cybersecurity or any field, finding that community is important. And Kathy, as you mentioned, the cybersecurity community is actually really great, really inclusive. It might seem intimidating at first. When you get into it, you realize that everybody's in the same boat over here, trying to figure things out. So I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful for all the positive things that we've been talking about. So yeah, there's just so many things that in life overall that I'm definitely grateful for. So.
And I'm tremendously grateful that you're here too, sharing your story, and it is a beautiful story to be told, and I really appreciate that. You sharing some of those details. Talk to me to kind of wrap things up about your purpose. What is your why?
My why? I'd say I'm probably also still figuring that out too. I just want to. I want to leave this world, in a better place. If I could make just even a little impact on people's lives, on making the world better, then I would say then I've fulfilled my purpose. I look at my family, my kids. If we raise good kids that continue that, then I think I've filled my purpose there, too. So business wise and hacking wise, I think we're fulfilling our purpose multiple times. Every day we're helping organizations secure themselves, and that's protecting their own company information. If it's a hospital, then protecting lives. I think that we're fulfilling our purpose there too. So as long as we just keep continuing that, I think I'm doing all right then.
I think so too. Well, thank you, Jon. This was such a privilege to be speaking with you, and I wish you nothing but more success to come on your journey in cybersecurity.
Thank you. You the same. Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
I can't be afraid now. Put me on the stage now. I'm ready to rage now. I feel like an animal stuck in a cage, and I'm ready to break out. My time, my time. None of you people can tell me to stop. This time, like the last time, you better get ready to race to the top. I'm ready to do this, show you what the truth is. I step on the field, it's time to get real. I'm feeling so ruthless. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down. Hand over my crown. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, my time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Yeah. So what are you afraid of? Those feelings are made of. Get in the game, your moment of fame. Show them what you made of. It's time that we stand up. It's time that we man up. For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up. My time, my time. Nothing can keep me from reaching the top. This time, like the last time, I'm moving so fast, I'm ready to ride. I'm ready to throw down. It's time for the showdown. I'm ready to rise. Don't be surprised, I'll take on the world now. My time, my time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down. Hand over my crown. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, my time. None of you people can tell me to stop. My time, my time. None of you people can tell me to stop. My town, my crown. We know what it takes to be reaching the top. We're reaching the top. We're reaching the top. We know what it takes to be reaching the top. My time, my time. None of you people can tell me to stop. My town,